Good morning. Welcome back to Bookeemonsters. My name is PK. It is Friday, TGIF. We're here to look at the rest of the new releases in crime fiction, cozy mysteries, and thrillers published this week. Let me turn on my light. A little warmer. And there are a few because thank you, Amy, for asking to do today's show, even though there were only a few left on cozies. It made me look again, and the source that I look at had added some more. So this is going to be a mishmash of cozies and the darker side because that's how it fell. Quick announcements. I don't have any sprints tonight. I don't do them on Friday night. Our next sprints are tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m., Saturday afternoon. And that one goes for 5 hours. We do every Tuesday and Thursday evening and Saturday afternoons. Let's jump in because now there's a lot. From Murder with Love by M.R.G. Davies, third in a series. The four members of Norchester's, maybe it's Norster's, crime fiction reading group have been invited as guests of honor to a weekend celebrating the life of the late author of their favorite murder mystery detective novels. But when the author's secret archive is opened to the public after 50 years, there's a deadly surprise inside. The quartet find themselves embroiled in a mystery that stretches back to the Cold War. With an accomplished Russian spy close on their tail, maybe they intended to spell it wrong, but it's spelled wrong. A runaway train filled with treasures and time running out. They will once again have to use everything they've learned from their fictional hero to catch the killer. Ride Out to Ruin by Emma Park, third in the Abbey Fields Cozy Mysteries. Abby Fields is in the throes of managing the equestrian events for the highly anticipated Hazelmere Village Fair at Langdon House Estate. She's dealing with last-minute crises, impossible requests, and a donkey who thinks he's in charge, and a power-drunk planning permission officer who's less reasonable than Attila the Hun. Tempers are fraying fast. Estate owner Stuart Langdon is clashing continually with farm manager Oliver. One's her boss, the other's her crush, and she can't pick sides. You choose your boss. The fair's organizer, Mrs. Granger, already detests Abby. She can't afford to slip up or make any mistakes that might jeopardize the event. And then there's a murder. With the police investigating at the speed of erosion and the council threatening to cancel the fair, Abby decides that the only way to save the day is to find the killer herself, even if it earns her more enemies than she already has. A Miscast Spell by Poppy Bridgman, 10th in The Witch of Henbane Island. Silverwood Hollow ruled out everything magical, everything natural, and everything that made sense. Then their most careful observer turned up dead. Cassie arrives with Kendra, her apprentice in tow, expecting a mystery. She gets two. One with a surprisingly ordinary answer and one that isn't ordinary at all. Is nothing ever... It says simple in her life. 20 years of good doesn't cancel one terrible act. But a protector who ignores those 20 years isn't doing justice. She's just doing paperwork. Beauty expos are murder. This one is not belonging here. We go on to the next one. You Had Me at Bigfoot by Nancy Campbell. By Nancy Campbell Allen. First in the Daphne Drew Mysteries. Rookie journalist Daphne and war photographer Clark investigate a missing maid and rumors of Bigfoot sightings, uncovering danger, buried lies, and unexpected romance deep in the Pacific Northwest wilderness. Rookie investigative journalist Daphne Drew is finally on assignment, though it's not exactly the hard-hitting story she imagined. Sent to cover a high society wedding at an opulent Pacific Northwest lodge, Daphne expects floral arrangements and champagne flutes, not whispered rumors of a missing maid or reports of Bigfoot sightings. She's not alone. Tagging along is Clark Finkelstein Henry, a decorated war photographer with a haunted past and a camera sharp enough to catch more than just candid reception shots. Together with their loyal dogs, Daphne and Clark begin to suspect something much darker is lurking in the forested shadows of the hotel grounds. As the wedding guests arrive and tension simmers beneath the surface, Daphne and Clark uncover a tangled web of lies, legends, and lost fortune. One that ties the vanished maid, some returning friends, and the infamous D.B. Cooper together in a mystery that's anything but folklore. It's actually a pretty cover. End of that row. Beach Blonde Betrayal by Elaine Viets. Second in the Florida Beach Mysteries. Fear is growing in sun-soaked South Florida, hot on the heels of local resident Gil Shecker saving an heiress's cat from the jaws of an alligator. One of Nora McCarthy's misfit residents at her Florodora apartment complex finds a body on the beach. It appears a serial killer is brutally strangling young blonde women. When Gil is stabbed in what seems to be a separate attack, Nora is persuaded to investigate his murder. But while Nora uncovers Gil's spine-tingling secrets, the beach body count is rising. At least one deadly critter is intent on terrorizing the local community, and this time, it's no alligator. That was the end of the cozy mysteries that I had set up on Monday. The rest of these are going to be the mix of the other things that I found. Conspiracy by Colleen Cobble. This is third in the Sanctuary series. Just as wildlife veterinarian Paradise Alden begins to envision a future with Blake Lawson, the ghosts of her past return with a vengeance. The murder of her parents has shadowed her for 15 years, but a new threat brings the cold case into the terrifying present. A trained leopard, a chilling embodiment of Paradise's deepest fears, is now stalking her. Haunted by resurfacing memories, Paradise Blake and her newfound brother Drew follow a trail of clues that leads them into a web of dark family secrets. The deeper they dig, the more shocking the connections become, linking their families to a dangerous conspiracy that someone is still willing to kill to protect. With every step closer to the truth, the killer becomes more desperate. Paradise Blake and Drew must race to expose a murderer who has remained hidden for 15 years. But this time, they are the ones being stalked. If they can't unmask the killer, the past will destroy both the fragile future Paradise and Blake are trying to build and the family she has finally found with her brother. A conspiracy of lemurs is a family, but a conspiracy of people can be deadly. I would say 15 years later, the killer's that much older. Probably easier to overcome. Just saying. Oops. Hi, Mary. Mary says, hi, PK and everyone. Happy Friday. Glad to be here. Missed Wednesday, overslept. Sleep is good. I always say that. Not sleeping well these days. Oh dear. Well, then you sleep with it while you can. Goodness. Got anything going on this weekend? Any shows coming up? Next up, Get Lost by Justin Halpern. When Lila Dixon gets a call that her mother has gone missing, she initially brushes it off. Maddie's disappearances are a part of life, like earthquakes in their dusty California hometown. But this time, this prime suspect is Lila's larger-than-life father, the one-time baseball player, local hero, and fatal charmer John Dixon. Dix's main accomplishment as a dad was finding new ways to disappoint his daughter, but even Lila knows he's not behind this. And when they uncover a $250,000 deposit to Maddie's bank account and someone slips a threatening note under Lila's motel door, they realize Maddie may be in real danger. Now they're heading down a trail marked by unsavory Russian thugs, fat cat farmers, and an unseen enemy who's always a step ahead. With crackling banter and characters, blah, 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 blurb. Helpless by Jessica Knoll. It's been 12 years since Faye Heron broke Henry Spaulding's heart. Henry was her college boyfriend, her first love, but Faye was in danger of being subsumed by him and the intensity of their connection, a connection that took her beyond boundaries she'd only dreamed of crossing. Now Faye is one half of a power-producing duo with her Hollywood husband. Henry is a married father running the family business. On the surface, both of their lives have essentially gone to plan. When a former and beloved college professor suddenly passes away, Faye and Henry find themselves back on campus for the funeral, circling something old and dangerous. Something, if Faye is honest with herself, she has been trying to duplicate for years. But Henry is one of a kind. The kind who delivers a hypnotic apology for the way things ended. The kind who suggests they go back to the hotel for a drink. The kind who drugs and kidnaps her. When Faye comes to Henry's remote mountain cabin, she's beside herself. Has Henry brought her here to punish her? She did, after all, write and star in a lauded episode of television based on their indelicate appetites and vicious breakup. As her week of captivity unfolds, Henry's wanton demands intensify, and Faye finds herself pulled back into his irresistible gravity. But as Faye and Henry spiral into their old dynamic, a sprawling, years-old mystery begins to take shape, one that will rewrite history as Faye remembers it and reveals an astounding, cataclysmic truth. End of that road. No shows coming up. I have been very lazy and haven't been booking anything. I haven't even signed up for any fall shows. Well, sometimes you need to take a break. That's okay. Can we do 9 more in about 10 minutes? We'll have to. Maybe we'll just read Icarus 17 by Charles Cumming, 4th in the Box 88 series. Max Radinsky thought he was living the perfect life in Athens, but when his girlfriend Yasmin is forced to flee the city, Max joins her on a desperate journey across Greece. What begins as an escape becomes a fight for survival as the young couple are targeted by an international manhunt. Untrained and living off their wits, they know their luck won't last forever. Lachlan Kite, head of Covert Intelligence Service Box 88, hadn't seen his former lover, Martha Rain, for more than 20 years. But when Martha reaches out to beg for his help in finding her missing son, Kite has no choice but to act. What they uncover is worse than either could have imagined. Yasmin is carrying a secret that could destabilize the Middle East for a generation, and a team of merciless Israeli intelligence agents have been given orders to kill her on sight. To save Max and stop a global crisis, Kite and Martha must reach the young couple before their pursuers close in. That is a good author for Spy vs. Spy. Ooh, Jeff Abbott has a new one. January and July by Jeff Abbott. A disgraced intel officer anxious to redeem herself after a disastrous mission, January Holt vows to uncover the identity of a traitor who is selling her agency's secrets. The few clues she's found have led her to a sleepy river town, Lethe, Texas, and to Bill Connors, the one man who might know the truth. July Whitlock, a rookie bodyguard, searches for his one and only client who has suddenly disappeared. He follows a trail to this town to find his missing protectee, Bill Connors. But Bill's friends and enemies have secrets of their own, and as January and July ask questions no one wants to answer, they find a tangled web of murder, greed, and ambition, one that will kill anyone who tries to unravel its secrets. Killed to Keep by Elena Taylor. Second in the Sheriff Bet Rivers mysteries. Sheriff Bet Rivers' inspection of the carnival grounds should have been routine. Murder is certainly the last thing on anyone's mind. Then comes the sound of a gunshot, and a dead body with no signs of trauma, no witnesses, and no obvious motive for the killing. But solving the unexplained death is only part of the challenge. Bet is still grappling with her on-off relationship with town owner Rob Collier, while dealing with her feelings about her late father, the beloved town sheriff she had to replace. As Bet launches her homicide investigation, she soon discovers the carnival is a place of whispers, rumors, resentments, and lie after lie. And as the stakes build, it quickly becomes clear that protecting a deadly secret is something that someone is willing to kill to keep. Title card. Last Night Was Killer by Mary Pauline Lowry. When Tilly Turner signed up for an introductory pole dancing class, she is looking for a distraction. Reeling from her mother's passing and with her career as a stand-up comedian in ruins, Tilly has just moved back to the Idaho hometown she was desperate to leave with her twin daughters in tow. But Tilly gets more than she bargained for after a night out with her new pole dancing pals. She wakes to a raging hangover, no memory of the evening before, and a dead body in the trunk of her car, as one does. Who, that old chestnut happens. Who was the dead man, and more importantly, who killed him? Tilly has no alibi and needs answers, but investigating a murder is complicated, especially with an old frenemy circling, child care plans falling through, and pole dancing classes to attend. I think that one's a lower priority. And don't even mention the sexy ATF agent who she's trying and failing to keep at arm's length. As Tilly races to solve the mystery before the police come knocking, she finds herself implicated in a larger plot that includes political subterfuge and arms dealing. But who knows? Maybe busting a criminal enterprise will be just the shakeup she needs. End of that road. We can do this. She has cataract surgery in August and September, so can't be lugging. Very true. Heavy tables around this fall, so have done nothing. Well, that's a good reason. That's important. I've picked up the new Charles Todd book, and I'm enjoying it. Love the slower, relaxed pace of the story. Very atmospheric. Can smell the sea and hear the squawking gulls and kittiwakes. That's one of my very favorite series. Actually, both. He has two series, or they. Now it's back to he. Are you doing anything fun this weekend? No plans for me, so that leaves everything wide open and can pick anything. Good plan. No plans. We're going to be in the hundreds this weekend. Sunday was saying either 109 or 111, depending on where you look. So we are heading to the bunkers. McKenna's Guy by Mike Lawson. When an intruder with murderous intent breaks into Roger Smith's modest home one night, the big brute gets more than he's bargained for, ending up a bloody corpse staining Roger's carpet. I hate that. Washington, D.C., Detective Grace Lilienthal is summoned to the crime scene and marvels at the outcome. Why would anyone want to kill gray-haired Roger Smith? He's the picture of respectability, a widower devoted to his family, and an amateur painter, and a civil servant who works at the government publishing office. I don't think so. When asked why he'd be a target, a clearly shaken Roger claims to be baffled. But instinct tells Grace there's more to Roger's story. When she learns that Roger, after killing his home invader and before calling the police, phoned John McKenna, she knows she's on to something. John McKenna is a disreputable character of the First Order. He's the gregarious, larger-than-life owner of a local bar that's a notorious den of thieves. After one hired assassin fails, another's bound to show up. The clock is ticking for Roger and McKenna to find out who wants Roger dead and why, and suspects abound. Stubborn Grace is as determined to dig up Roger's secrets as he is to keep them hidden, and soon the investigation becomes a relentless game of cat and mouse. Even if Roger doesn't consider himself a criminal, as chaos takes hold of his world, survival requires that he think like one. McKenna's Guy. Payback by Lawrence Light, first in the Frank Verity thrillers. A Wall Street billionaire, one of the four infamous Medici boys, takes a swan dive from his high-floor Fifth Avenue apartment. Near the window from which he was thrown is a note, "I'm coming for all of you." With no leads and three of the city's wealthiest men marked for death, the case detective turns to former CIA operative and New York reporter Frank Verity. Frank sees things others do not and knows firsthand that it takes money to fight money. As Frank races to prevent the next murder of a financial titan, it's clear these killers are hell-bent on revenge and ingenious at breaching the well-guarded billionaire's security. Where'd my phone go? Oh, there it is. Sorry. One thing is certain, the wealthy rule this town, and maybe this time the billions can't save them. River Deep. And does everybody complete that in their minds? Mountain High. By Brian Gruley, second in the Bitter Frost thrillers. Attorney Devon Payne expects a quieter life when she returns to her hometown of Bitterfrost until the bodies of two 8-month-old boys are pulled from the icy depths of the local river. Was it a tragic accident or something more disturbing? The twins' distraught parents survived the car crash, but their mother, Katrina Dulaney, was driving. Now she's charged with killing her babies, and her admission of guilt has leaked online. It should be the most straightforward case Devon prosecutes all year, and yet to her it doesn't add up. With time dwindling ahead of the trial, Detective Garth Klimek questions Kat's role in the tragedy, and a suspicious outsider loitering around town. This crime must be just the tip of an iceberg. Devon's put two Delaneys behind bars before. This time, whose side will she take, and what will it cost? Robert Thorogood has a new one in his Marlowe Murder Club series. This is 5th. The Mysterious Affair of Judith Potts. Someone is killing celebrities in Marlowe. First, it's a famous soccer player, then a best-selling... I'm sorry, is this over in England? They don't call it soccer. Then a best-selling thriller writer. When two shocking deaths rock their quiet riverside town, Judith, Susie, and Bex, the unstoppable Marlowe Murder Club, must untangle a dangerous web of blackmail and scandal to catch a killer. But with their trusted police ally D.I. Malik suddenly suspended and Judith's own past threatening to resurface, the women are on their own. Suspects are multiplying like tabloid headlines, secrets are stacking up, and time is running out. Can the Marlowe Murder Club crack the case before the killer strikes again, or will this be the end of their crime-solving adventures? Last one. And the bell's about to ring. Traitors by Robert B. McCaw. Robert Cooper, Deputy Assistant Attorney General for the Counterintelligence in the DOJ's National Security Division, has built a storied career distinguished by high-profile arrests and prosecutions of enemy spies. One morning, he's approached by a Russian sleeper agent looking to defect. The agent offers Cooper alarming information. Russian operatives have infiltrated the U.S. government at its highest levels, including a mole in the senior ranks of the FBI. Cooper's investigations lead to the discovery of a clandestine Russian plot involving deep cover agents in senior government positions. As Cooper and his team at the DOJ race to uncover the Kremlin's plans and unmask the traitors, a coup in Russia brings to power a militant extremist regime seemingly intent on sidelining the U.S. on the world stage, while Russia retakes its former Soviet territories. And there you go. Another good one for Spy vs. Spy coming in September. All right, that is it. We looked at everything this week. And then some. Mary says, gosh, stay cool. That kind of weather is no fun. Indeed. I'm just glad it's happening on the weekend and our installers aren't out in it today. It's going to be upper 90s anyway. But when it gets to be that, I'm just very glad everybody's going to be home. Mary says, thanks so much. Hope you enjoy your weekend and stay cool. Reading is good for that. Indeed. Thank you, thank you. Mary, get some good rest. Sleep when you can, honey. That's no fun. Alrighty, again, sprints tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern for 5 hours. And then next week we'll be back looking at the new releases for next week. Hope you have a good day. Stay cool. Stay hydrated. Be safe. Read good books. I know I'm bossy. Don't, as the banner says, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Nom, nom, nom. Have a good day. God bless.